Welcome to another edition of ATL Prime Sports. I'm JJ Jurjevich, filling in for Todd Corder. With me is Wayne, our fabulous producer out in Memphis, Tennessee. Guys, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at ATL Prime Sports. If you like the videos, please give us a like and a subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at JJGetYouOne. You can follow Wayne at RWY Jr. And you can follow Corder at Todd Corder at Corder Todd. Wayne, how you doing tonight, my friend?
I don't know, man. I really wasn't very happy with how that Memphis Temple game turned out. However, Temple's quarterback definitely played like a former Georgia Bulldog.
Well, he's got a good story. He was recovering from brain surgery that was caught at a normal screening, and he was able to find that, get the surgery. I believe it was a brain cyst off the top of my head. So, way to come back, Dwan Mathis. Glad he's finding good ground and he's playing good quarterback up there at Temple. So,
He really is.
unfortunately, Wayne, for you, he found it again. He set some records against the Tigers, man.
Yeah. Well, like I said, he played really well. In the first quarter, I think his receivers were a little bit iffy, dropping balls, missing routes, mistiming things, but they got it together and really put together a great game.
Yeah, he did. I'm doing pretty good, man. Postseason baseball is underway, starting Tuesday with the Yankees Red Sox. Exciting end to the finish there. What's on tap for today's show? We have our guest Dave Cohen, voice of the Georgia State Panthers, talking Georgia State football with us. Our NFL quick hits segments, our pick six, and much more right here on ATL Prime Sports. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get to our friend, our guest. We welcome back voice of the Georgia State Panthers, Dave Cohen. Dave, how you doing, man? And thanks for coming on.
Always good to be with you guys. The last time we talked, I was 1-3, and now I'm 1-4.
Yeah, Georgia State, again, Dave, was competitive for the first 30 minutes of the game. Looking like, wow, defense is getting some stops. Helps that they got a little penalties. Only held App State to 14 points in 6 possessions. It was looking good, but again, ended up on the losing end 8 straight times. These guys, what went wrong in the second half?
Well, the defense for Georgia State played as well as they could for the amount of time they were on the field and facing the opponent they were facing. Look, I've said this before, the face of Sun Belt Conference football right now belongs to 3 teams, Appalachian State, Louisiana Lafayette, and of course, top 20 ranked Coastal Carolina. We're going to get 2 of those 3 coming up, later on in late October, early November. It was a close game, for a while. It was a close game there at halftime, still within striking distance. But if you look back at the way that that Georgia State's offense was working, they were coming away with field goals instead of coming away with touchdowns. Our first 9 points were 3 Noel Ruiz field goals, and even if 2 of those are touchdowns, now you're in a football game. But the longer that game went on, and the longer that we, Georgia State, were not able to score a touchdown, and the only touchdown we scored was later in the fourth quarter on a pass down the middle for 66 yards to a freshman, Talik Williams, who has been impressive in practice. But the longer we let Appalachian State off the hook by not scoring touchdowns, we knew eventually some of their big play guys were going to hurt us. And certainly that's kind of what happened. And, was I surprised? No. But, as we said on our radio broadcast on Saturday, the part that's surprising is that we're talking about a Georgia State team that returned pretty much everybody from a year ago. It's a Georgia State team that went up to Boone last year and probably should have come off the mountain with a win. I think if I remember correctly, the final score was Appalachian State 17, Georgia State 14, because Georgia State couldn't score in the second half. But what happened to the offense that was averaging 33 points a game last year in what turned out to be a 6-4 season? That 33 points per game is not there this year. And Coach Elliott said earlier this week on his Monday Zoom call with members of the Atlanta media when asked the question about the quarterback situation. You know, the entire offseason, we thought the quarterback situation was going to be one that would be what we would call a positive. Cornelius Brown IV played really well last year and really his first full season in the shoes of Dan Ellington, but has struggled out of the gate in, the first 2 weeks. And then Darren Granger took over weeks 3 and 4, and then he ended up playing both of them again, with Granger getting the start, but he played both of them again Saturday against Appalachian State. And, the quarterback position for us has not been this year what it was last year. We've struggled to run the ball. We've struggled to move the ball in the air. Granted, there have been bright spots. Tucker Gregg on the ground running the football at Auburn, which we talked about last week, but the consistency has not been there. And so hopefully we'll begin to find that. The next 2 games, starting this Saturday night in Monroe, Louisiana against the ULM Warhawks, a very winnable game. And then in 3 weeks after an off week, Texas State will come to Atlanta. That is a very winnable game. So if we can right the ship, and it's not even against so much in the defense, even though, at the end of the day, the numbers don't lie. We're allowing an average of 38 points a game. But as I wrap this opening comment up, remember, that's against Army, 24th ranked North Carolina. We held Charlotte to 9. We should have beaten Auburn, ended up giving up 34, and gave up 45 to what is a very good Appalachian State football team. I wouldn't be surprised one iota. It's going to come down to them in Coastal Carolina. One of those two will play for a Sun Belt Conference championship. But I'm looking forward to Saturday night because it's an opportunity to hopefully get back on the winning track.
You're listening to Dave Cohen right here on ATL Prime Sports. You can follow Dave on Twitter at GA State Voice. Dave, let's talk about that ULM game. It is a winnable game for the Panthers, and they can right the ship. A bye week, 2 winnable games, that could be the cure. Break down the ULM game.
Well, the first and foremost, what jumps out and what gives you hope is that they're 1-1 in Sun Belt Conference play. They surprised some people a few weeks ago when they beat Troy. I think 29-16 was the final score in that one. But they absolutely got their doors blown off Saturday at Coastal Carolina, 59-6. So if that Georgia State team that averaged 33 points a game last year and an offense that we know can score can show up in Monroe, which I think that it will, because, look, let's not confuse Louisiana Monroe with Appalachian State, Auburn, North Carolina, and Army. It is what it is. Louisiana Monroe is another team like us. They're a mid-level Sun Belt Conference team right now at 1-1, but it's an opportunity for us to go on the road and get a win. They're young at quarterback. When you look at their numbers, and I started working on my sheets, earlier today, I think they have 2 touchdowns. Well, they have 1 touchdown, I think, in the air, 2 on the ground. So they're not scoring a bunch of points if you look at their numbers. Nobody that really jumps off the sheet and scares you as from a player standpoint. One thing that I did notice about them, and for the folks that are viewing this, Terry Bowden, same Terry Bowden. Was Terry Bowden, which of the Bowdens was at Memphis? Was that Tommy?
He may have been here as an assistant. I don't think he was ever a head coach.
Okay. Well, Terry Bowden.
One of them was at Akron at one time.
Yeah, I think that was Terry Bowden. Well, Terry Bowden is now the head coach in his first season at Louisiana Monroe. And Rich Rodriguez, obviously a name familiar to college football people, been at Michigan, been at West Virginia, been at Arizona, those two. And, Rodriguez is the associate head coach, offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach. I don't know all about the rest of their staff, but those are 2 guys who have walked the walk and have talked the talk at the highest level of college football. So ULM is making the commitment to bring bring two guys in to lead a staff to try to get Louisiana Monroe Warhawk football off the ground and up and running consistently. I will say this, one thing that I notice about them, and I don't have my sheets in front of me, when I'm doing the two deeps, they've got a lot of transfers. A lot of transfers. They are bringing in, for a quick fix to try to become competitive ASAP. They are bringing in players who, for one reason or another, have exited their original program.
Yeah, that transfer portal's helping out a lot of schools. I think in a couple of years, once it really settles down, it's only been 2, 3, 4 years old tops. And I may be exaggerating it by a year. I think it's really put a lot of parity in college football. Let's shift to the basketball court, Dave. It's almost that time. The NBA just tipped off their preseason last Monday night with the Hawks.
So I know. Can you believe that?
It's crazy. It's a quick turnaround. It seems like we were just in March Madness yesterday.
It almost makes me, and for lack of a better term, resentful to the NBA. And I don't mean that in a total negative way, but it's almost like, can you not wait until late November and allow Major League Baseball to hold its postseason, its playoffs, and its World Series? Can we not give college football more than 4 weeks before we're all of a sudden talking about the NBA and the National Hockey League? Do they really need to start this early? I mean, really,
No.
they don't. I mean, we're only, 4 weeks into the NFL?
Yeah, this is week 4, week 5 in the NFL, week 6 in college football, and you're right. I mean, heck, the NBA Finals just finished in July, folks. It's absolutely crazy. I think they're starting a little too early myself, but
September, October, it's basically been 2.5 months. I mean,
they had Vegas summer ball. You're right. I mean, It's just year round now.
We don't need NBA basketball. The sports fan of the United States does not need NBA basketball and NHL hockey right now. Let baseball finish and have the spotlight. Let college football have the spotlight. Let the NFL get at least into week 9 or 10 before all of a sudden we're talking about NBA basketball in the National Hockey League again.
I agree. I've always said tip off. I mean, have NBA basketball tip-off be around Christmas. I mean, that'd be a cool start. I mean, I know it'd be pretty late, but you play so late in the season anyway. But, yeah, Dave, let's flip it back. Let's go to the Panthers. Let's talk about those men's Panthers. And when they tip off, tell our listeners and what to expect from the men's Panthers this season.
Well, each week we do the Panther Insider podcast, and just an FYI, coming up tomorrow, Wednesday, I'll be in with Coach Lanier in his office recording our Panther Insider podcast. It'll be our, Georgia State basketball preview podcast as part of that series that we do. But if you look at any of the preseason magazines, Athlon's, Lindy's, Sporting News, whichever one, Georgia State's picked number 1 in just about every preseason poll. The Sun Belt lost some pretty good players individually. Some of the better players in the league from last season have transferred elsewhere, some of them to high majors. So, for example, Michael Flowers from South Alabama, I believe, wound up at Washington State. Devontae Jones off Coastal Carolina, I'm pretty sure, signed with Michigan. The top 2 players from Arkansas, Little Rock, one, I believe, graduated, decided not to come back. The other one went high major too, but I can't remember where. Georgia State, the only 2 players that we lost were 2 guys who had transferred in, JoJo Toppin from Georgia and Ryan Boyce, who transferred in from Memphis. I was a little surprised at Boyce leaving. He had a pretty good Sun Belt Conference tournament. But nonetheless, it's a very crowded bench for Coach Lanier and Georgia State this year because all the super seniors are back, 4 of them.
Yeah.
I mean, we're loaded. I mean, to be honest with you. And for one season, this coming season, the coaching staff's going to have to juggle playing time a little more delicately, maybe, than they will next season when the roster adjusts with the super seniors no longer there. But it's a competitive schedule. which I'll talk to him about tomorrow. We play Georgia Tech again at their place. We play Mississippi State on the road. So one ACC team, one SEC team. If I remember correctly, we got 2 out of the Colonial Athletic Association, our former conference in Northeastern, and William and Mary. We got Richmond out of the Atlantic 10. We have Rhode Island on the road, out of the Richmond and Rhode Island on the road, both pretty good Atlantic 10 teams. Mercer out of the Southern Conference, who we, of course, used to be in the league with back in the day. So it's a very good schedule. There's a couple of cupcakes on that schedule, home games. But overall, it's a very competitive schedule. You know, that is one of the problems. And when Ron Hunter was at Georgia State, we talked about this a few times, is that if you're a group of 5 program, a mid-major, it's hard to schedule because the Power Fives don't necessarily want to take a chance and put it on the line and play you, especially at home. You know, for us, the Georgia Tech series, which was helped along by the COVID virus with regards to scheduling, that's a 2-for-1. We played them last year on Thanksgiving and beat them in 4 overtimes. We're going to play them again at Georgia Tech this year. And then next year, they will come into our new Convocation Center when we open that in 2022, 2023. But again, got to go to Memphis. You're not going to, I mean, not Memphis, Mississippi State. Point being, it can be difficult from a coaching perspective or a standpoint to put together a really good schedule, because the better you are and the better your reputation is for beating mid-level high-level group of 5 and Power 5 programs, some coaches don't want to take that chance and lose to a Sun Belt Conference school, even though you and I both know there's some pretty good basketball at the Sun Belt level.
Yeah, you know, one of the things I did want to mention, you had brought up the NBA starting so early and kind of fudging in on everybody else's action. I wouldn't worry about that too much because the NBA's numbers, as far as people watching, have gone down pretty sharply.
Yeah, well, there's just too many. I mean, what would you rather do, watch an NBA exhibition game or an NBA game in late October, excuse me, or would you rather watch the Major League Baseball playoffs? Or would
Correct.
we got college football almost every night of the week once this, now that we're rolling. Would you rather watch, various college football games, or would you rather watch what, let's be truthful about it, a meaningless October NBA game? And I don't want to just pick on the NBA. The National Hockey League is the same way. Most people don't even know the National Hockey League is playing.
Yeah. It's about to face off. You're absolutely right.
Unless you're a hockey guy.
Unless you're into the hockey for sure. So, well, Dave, how do our listeners catch the call on Saturday at 8 p.m.? And also, how do our listeners follow you and listen to the Panther Insider podcast?
Well, the Panther Insider podcast, you can follow me on Twitter at GA State Voice. Of course, it will always be promoted on the Georgia State Athletics website each week, which is georgiastatesports.com. Mm-hmm. We will be on the air 7:30 Saturday night from Malone Stadium in lovely Monroe, Louisiana, with our Panther pregame show, Countdown to Kickoff, and we'll kick off just after 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Our flagship radio station in Atlanta, 50,000-watt, 88.5 FM, WRAS. And again, the airtime will be 7:30. Of course, if you're one who listens via your iPhone or your tablet via an app, you can always go to TuneIn Radio, right there, JJ, TuneIn Radio app, which is free. Search WRAS, or it's even easier if you just download the Georgia State Athletics free mobile app. As soon as you tap on it on game night, it is right there. But looking forward to getting to Monroe, not so much getting to Monroe, but getting to Monroe and getting an opportunity, knock on wood, that will come out and play well. Look, our backs are against the wall. Again, this is a winnable game. Can't drop to 1-5 and put ourselves in a position, if you're going to, it sounds crazy at 1-4. If Georgia State does what they're supposed to do, they could still be in a position to get one of the 5 bowl bids. But if we stumble either of the next two ball games, that's going to be awfully hard because, again, I'll leave you with this. We still have a 3-week, 3 consecutive road game stretch at Georgia Southern, at Louisiana Lafayette, at Coastal Carolina.
Yeah, you got to get your lunch pail ready to go for this schedule. We've mentioned it a time, and we'll mention it again. This is probably the toughest schedule in the young history of Georgia State. They got a good team. We'll see if they can rebound. Dave, thanks for coming on tonight. We always appreciate you.
All right, I appreciate it. Good to talk to you guys, and hopefully we'll talk again next week.
Dave Cohen, voice of the Georgia State Panthers. We'll see you next week, and go Panthers, man.
All right, take it easy.
Take care. Again, Dave Cohen, voice of the Georgia State Panthers. You can find him on Twitter at GA State Voice. We're looking forward to the call Saturday night. Wayne, let's go ahead and get into the Atlanta Braves won their 4th consecutive National League East title last week, the other day. Let's talk some Bravos. Divisional series going to be playing the Brew Crew out of Milwaukee, the team that replaced the Milwaukee Braves when they left to Atlanta. Wayne, I'll go to you first, my friend. What are your thoughts on this divisional series, Braves versus Brewers?
Well, I would like to see the Braves move on, but the thing that struck me when I looked at all the standings was the fact that the Atlanta Braves are the only ones representing the NL East. Everybody else out.
Yeah. We Todd and I mentioned it. The NL East could have called it the NL Least, and I'm glad you said that because look, 88 wins.
Yeah,
that's it. We're the least. The Braves have the least amount of wins in the playoffs. Everybody else has 90 plus. 90 plus, folks. Remember that.
And just north of Memphis is the team that could throw a wrench in the whole deal. The St. Louis Cardinals. They've come up and surprised people before, and they know what they're doing in the playoffs.
Yeah, they can do it. They're a postseason team. Ask the Atlanta Braves. They don't have good history against the Cardinals, the Dodgers, or really even the Giants. The only team they do have good history with, well, it's the Brewers. So here we go. We'll go ahead and break down this series, folks. The Braves will face Cy Young candidate, right-handed pitcher Corbin Burns right off the get-go. He led the major leagues in ERA, 2.43 to be exact. Pretty tough to hit. That's game one. Switch over. You're going to face another righty, 2.56 ERA. That was also good for top 5 in the league at 4th. That's going to be Brandon Woodruff. So games 1, games 2, you're going to have 2 good pitchers. Arguably the best staff in all of baseball, the Brewers were. So the Braves going to have to combat that with Charlie Morton and Max Fried. And I tell you what, these are 2 of the best pitchers in baseball right now. We all know Morton's postseason experience, 12 starts, 13 total appearances. Pretty much domination for Charlie Morton. Veteran in that aspect. He had a great year. He was 14-6 with a 3.34 ERA for these Atlanta Braves in 33 appearances. So it'll be Morton, Fried, who, don't look now, but he was leading Major League Baseball in the second half of the season in ERA with let me look at my notes, 1.47. That'll make you go cross-eyed, folks. That's a great ERA. All right. So, and I like what Mark Bradley said in the AJC here. I mentioned those 88 wins, Wayne. Here's the best part about that. It's like playing with house money. When Acuna, Ozuna, Soroka went down for the rest of the year and we weren't expecting him to come back after the re-tear of his Achilles, this team was down and out. Anthopoulos revamped the outfield. Soler, Duvall, Peterson come into town, and all 3 of those players equal about 250 average, several RBIs, and a perfect player to fill in and pack and play whenever you needed a guy. And Anthopoulos, hats off to you. You got this team to the playoffs. So again, Mark Bradley said in AJC.com, you're playing with house money, Wayne. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, You know more about the National League than I do, and as far as the other side of the coin, the American League, I really have to pull for Chicago over there because I really don't care for anybody else who's in the playoffs.
The South Side, the South
Yeah.
Side. Hey, I don't mind that. Actually, I was looking. I don't know if it's true or not. I was looking in a chat group, and someone said the New York Post picked the Braves to win the World Series over the White Sox. I don't know if that's true. That's chat group material, folks.
Yeah.
You don't hold me to it. But if that's true, hey, that'd be a heck of a series. And I know my parents would be proud. One of their first homes was in the South Side of Chicago, so they're kind of White Sox fans as well. Let's go. My final thought on the Braves, and then Wayne, I'll go to your final thought on the Braves divisional series. Look, the Braves have a better offense than the Brewers. They're averaging around 5 runs a game. That's eighth in Major League Baseball. Total runs, 790. Look, they've hit 238 home runs. That's good for third in Major League Baseball. Third in Major League Baseball. So, look, the run scoring opportunities will be there for the Atlanta Braves versus this Milwaukee Brewers team who doesn't score that many runs. They really rely on the front end of that rotation. I think the Braves can take this series. I think they will take it. They'll do it in 4 games. Wayne, your final thoughts on this Braves divisional series? That's the Brew Crew.
Well, you know, they've got way more momentum than Milwaukee, and really the only two teams that are in the NL that have any momentum is LA and the ATL. Those are the only two that seem to be, you know, moving at a pretty good pace.
Yeah, St. Louis had that long winning streak snapped right there at the end of the season. You could throw St. Louis in there. It should be an interesting postseason for sure. For sure. Let's go ahead to our NFL quick hits segment. Falcons. Well, we all know what they did. They found another way to lose versus the Washington football team. They snatched defeat out of the jaws of victory. I don't know how they continue to do it. They lost 34-30 on Sunday. Let's talk Dirty Birds. Not as enthusiastic anymore
No.
for the season, but they blew it yet again, Wayne.
Yeah.
I'll throw it to you yet again. I'm having fun throwing it to you because I want to see your reaction. I'm going to click back to the camera and look at the camera so I can see your reaction.
Well, I got
Here's the microphone, passing it over to you. What was your reaction when the clock hit triple zeros?
Well, I had a few expletive type of reactions, and then I posted that online along with you know, my typical picture of the upside down dirty bird. You know, because that's just become the new logo in my opinion.
Yeah, they might as well flip the logo upside down. They have been playing good football. Good enough to win, just not good enough in the fourth quarter, it seems like. Look, the Falcons, Washington trailed by 2 after a touchdown and a failed 2-point conversion. With under 4 to play, the Falcons could not run the clock, failing to even get a first down. Gave the ball back to former Collins Hill Eagle, local prospect here in the Atlanta area. So shouts out Tyler Heineke. Did a great job getting the ball down the field, made a nice throw to J.D. McKissick, who scored on a 30-yard touchdown pass for the eventual game winner. So I give them credit for going down the field and getting the game-winning score. Again, local guy, I tipped the cap. They took advantage, but look, the Falcons are -2 in turnovers this year. They haven't picked the opposing team off all year, and Matt Ryan's thrown, well, we know a bunch of picks. I don't even want to say the number on air. But let's just put this here. The Falcons have got to start forcing turnovers to help out their offense, give them some short field, give them some field position advantages. They lost their punter. Younghoe Koo was punting for them. His first punt was a shanker, so they played catch up in the field position department. This was just not a fancy game to watch. And Wayne, I'll throw it to you for your final thoughts, man. The Falcons just didn't look good.
Well, you know, I get the feeling sometimes that they're not playing to win, they're playing not to lose, and that's a guaranteed way to lose.
That's a good point. It really seems like the Falcons play better from behind. I've said this on this podcast once. I'll say it again. It really does. When they get behind, it seems like they play a little bit better. Look at Tampa Bay. They got behind in that game, and they battled back. And honestly, that third quarter into the second quarter going into halftime is the best I've seen the Falcons play all year. Let's wrap that up. We do have one more NFL Quick Hits sub-segment. It's got to be about the Arizona Cardinals. Got to be about the Arizona Cardinals. Look, they're 4-0.
Yep.
Are the Cardinals for real, Wayne? I'll kick this one off. I think they are. Wayne, I do. I think they are real. They're 4-0. Heck, 3 road wins. I don't care what you do in the NFL. You start out 4-0 with 3 road wins, you're doing something. 2 of those road wins, Tennessee and the Los Angeles Rams. Look, These are 2 good football teams that they took care of business on the road. Kyler Murray's looking good. A.J. Green's turning back the clock a little bit and really helping out a young Murray get the ball down the field. This team is looking for real. I thought the Rams were the cream of the crop early on in the season, but now that we're not a quarter of the way through, we used to be through 16. Now we're a little less than a quarter through. And I say they're one of the best teams in the NFL. Look, their offense is first in scoring in the NFL, 35 a game. 35 a game is pretty good. And they're running the ball effectively, averaging over 136 yards a game. Look, this team looks pretty good, Wayne. What are your thoughts on the Arizona Cardinals?
Well, as far as the West Coast teams go, before this past weekend, I thought that they may have been sharing the stage with the Las Vegas Raiders and the Los Angeles Rams. But after this weekend, I think they are alone on the West Coast as being the best team over there.
Wow, that's a big statement we're saying. We'll see how the season progresses from here. That will wrap up our NFL Quick Hits segment. We'll do a bonus topic tonight real quick, Wayne. We'll make this one pretty fast. The Georgia Bulldogs smoked the Hogs 37-0 Saturday evening. Actually, early Saturday afternoon. The crowd showed up. Again, 37-0. Let's talk some Dogs football. UGA dominated Arkansas up front, both sides of the ball, holding the Razorbacks to 75 yards rushing on 29 attempts. Flip it around, UGA dominated. Offensive line pushed their defensive line right around, 273 yards on the ground for the Dogs. So they put that question mark of can they run the football to rest, I hope, for the rest of the season, as they were able to get the ball moving, especially with Zamir White. Wayne, what were your thoughts on that 37-0 blowout?
Well, I totally did not expect it. I thought that the Arkansas Razorbacks were going to do much better, based on what they had done earlier this season. However, I don't think it was the stage that they were on because, you go up there to Fayetteville, that's a pretty lively crowd. I don't think it was the team necessarily. I think it came down to choices made by the coaching staff, and Georgia seemed to have really made better choices than what Arkansas did going into that game, and that's the only thing I can think that was the biggest difference was the coaching.
Yeah, there's a lot of differences in this game, Wayne. Sam Pittman's a great coach. I think he'll have Arkansas bowling this year, and heck, they were in the top 10, and they may be ranked the rest of the season, and that's a job well done by Sam Pittman over there at Arkansas. I want to talk about the crowd. The crowd really did show up. Coach Kirby Smart asked the crowd to show up and be elite. The first drive, false start. Next thing you know, it's 1st and 20, and the crowd really showed their presence. That was impressive for me. Stetson Bennett, 11. The number, threw the ball 11 times for 72 yards. Didn't matter because of what the defense and the run game did for Georgia. Liberated any hopes ever of Arkansas ever having a chance. And we all know about Dan Jackson, number 47, running through, perfectly timed, blocking the punt. Zamir White recovers the ball in the end zone for a special teams touchdown. This was a dominant performance on all 3 phases. I did call it in the pick 6. We'll get to that next. But look, my final thoughts, it may be more of this, Georgia football fans. Do not get upset with the way they played on Saturday. I know we wanted to see the ball throw deep, all exposing everybody's defense and showing off the wide receiver talent at Georgia. JT Daniels might be hurt for a while. That lat is really bothering him. Wasn't able to go, as we all know, Saturday. He's already missed the UAB start. Let him rest. You may see the same game plan from Stetson Bennett and the Georgia Bulldogs going into Auburn on Saturday for the Deep South Southwest rivalry. So expect the same type of game plan, Dog fans. And hey, if it works, it works, because Stetson Bennett threw over 240 yards, right around 240 yards against Auburn last year, and looked pretty good doing it. So you may see much of the same. Wayne, any final thoughts on that dominant Dogs performance?
No, they just totally dominated, and we'll see what Arkansas does the rest of the year. And of course, we're going to find out what Georgia does the rest of the year. But Georgia really did look a lot better in that game.
It's time for the final segment of the evening. ATL Prime Sports Pick 6. Last week was a doozy. Wayne, 1-5.
Yeah.
TT, 1-5. Yours truly, 4-2.
All
bringing
right.
our season overall records to 17-13. That's 17-13 for me. 11-19 for TC, coming in at third place. And Wayne, you're in second. Couple games behind at 12-18. Let's go ahead and get into this week's Pick 6. 3 NCAA games, 3 NFL games, folks, all from Monday's spreads. Keep that in mind while we're going through this. The Deep South Southwest rivalry, number 2 Georgia, 5-0, 3-0 in the SEC. At number 18 Auburn, 4-0, 1-0 in the SEC. UGA is a 14.5-point favorite. We'll give you TC's picks on Twitter if you stay tuned. Wayne, you, then me, and we'll get out of here, buddy. UGA minus 14.5. The over-under is 45. What you got, Wayne?
Well, I'm taking Auburn on this one.
I kind of figured you would, man.
Come on down to the Plains and find out what your first loss feels like.
This is a good one. Bo Nix played extremely well against LSU last week. One of the most memorable plays I've seen from a quarterback, rolling right, going left, staying in bounds, dodging the player, throwing to Jake Fromm's brother for the touchdown. Big play, big momentum-changing atmosphere type game. I think Georgia handles Bo Nix. I think this will be the close game that nobody's expecting. I am actually going to take Auburn in the points here. I really think this will be a lot closer than people expect. Georgia, Auburn, again, Deep South Southwest rivalry. I think it'll be closer than the experts think. Georgia wins by 14. They don't cover. Oklahoma, number 6, 5-0, 2-0 in the Big 12 versus number 21 Texas, 4-0, 2-0 in the Big 12. OU's 3-point favorites. The over-under in that game is 63.5. Wayne, you go first. It's the Red River rivalry, game played at the Cotton Bowl in Dallas, Texas.
Yeah, I'm taking Oklahoma in this one because I still feel like Texas is overrated.
Still feel like Texas is overrated.
Yep.
This one was tough for me. I really want to say Spencer Rattler gets it going, and the Sooners start coming out and looking like the college football playoff favorite that everybody thought they would be. But I'm going to go hook 'em horns. I have a feeling Steve Sarkisian's got this team really going in the right direction. I'm going to take hook 'em horns. I think they may win the game outright, but I'm going to go horns in the points. Number 4, Penn State, 5-0, 2-0 in the Big Ten. Probably the biggest game of the weekend, traveling to Kinnick Stadium. Number 3, Iowa, also 5-0, 2-0 in the Big Ten. Iowa's a 2.5-point favorite. The over-under in that game is 41.5. Wayne, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm taking Penn State in this because I feel like myself and a lot of people up there in Pennsylvania, Penn State should have been ranked number 3. And they're going to go in there with a chip on their shoulder and probably prove why they should have been number 3.
This one was also tough. This is probably the toughest weekend of games we've had to pick. I'm going Iowa at home. The Iowa wave is going to get them going. Kinnick Stadium's going to be rocking. Iowa doesn't turn the ball over. I think that's the key. They hold on to the football. Give me the Hawkeyes going to the NFL. Early morning kickoff. Jets 1-3. Falcons 1-3. It's another game of the week. WEAK. Atlanta's a 3.5-point favorite. The over-under's 44. The experts really think this is going to be a low-scoring clunker of a game. Wait.
Yeah. Well, a lot's going to depend on what the travel situation's like, and that's a long way to go just for a football game. But the people over there seem to enjoy it, and I'm glad that we're able to bring a product over there they like. And I have to take the Falcons.
Next week I won't put this one on there for both of our sakes. And we're in the opposite. You can't pick against them. I have no problem doing it. I have this weird. I would like someone to reach out to us at ATL Prime Sports. If you like these videos, give us a like and subscribe. But do get back to me again at ATL Prime Sports at JJ Get You One. I would like to know the stat, Matt Ryan's record versus rookie quarterbacks, because I don't think it's good. I know he lost to Geno Smith as a rookie on Monday Night Football. I was at the game. I got to take Zach Wilson and the Jets. I just have this feeling that win last week's going to build some momentum for Coach Salah, and we're going to go and get another L here in Atlanta, and we're going to be disappointed. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm going with the Jets. Packers 3-1 at Bengals 3-1. Green Bay's 3.5-point favorites. Over under 49.5. Wayne?
Oh, I'm taking the Bengals in this one.
Oh, that's a good pick. Joe Burrow's playing extremely well. I'm going to go with the Packers. Did you have a final thought on that game? I kind of cut you off.
No, and it's I didn't really have anything other than that. Cincinnati to me has, as far as the Ohio NFL teams go, they're much better team put together than Cleveland does. And I think they go into that game with a lot of pride. They're playing at home, and they're not going to let the Packers win.
I'm going with Aaron Rodgers. He's a bad man. I think that spread's a little funny, so I may get burned on this one. Folks, I'm going with Green Bay as the road favorite. Bills, Chiefs, the best game of the NFL in the weekend. 3-1. Bills travel to Arrowhead Stadium to play the 3-1 Chiefs. KC's a 2.5-point favorite. Over-under's 56.5 in that one. Wayne, you go first.
Well, I've got a feeling Buffalo's going to beat the Chiefs.
Ooh, you got a feeling Buffalo's going to beat the Chiefs. This one was really tough for me to pick. I'm looking over some notes here, trying to get a last-second gauge on this game. Look, the Chiefs are 2-2, by the way. I said 3-1. 2-2. Look, it's tough to play an Arrowhead.
Don't overthink it. Don't overthink
the Chiefs. I don't know why I'm choosing against the Bills, because I think they're one of the best teams in the AFC right now. Yeah, give me the Chiefs at home. So that's our picks. That's our pick six. I got a couple games lead, so I may have gone with more heart this week, folks. But that basically does it for me. Wayne, any final thoughts for the show this evening?
No, we'll get Todd's picks, and I'll get them posted up on the screen here when we move this over to the YouTube and its broadcast. So look forward to finding out what his thoughts on some of this stuff was, and let's play some football.
That's right, folks. Braves begin their postseason run on Friday in Milwaukee. Thanks for listening. If you liked, please subscribe. We'll see you next week on Fridays, live, blogtalkradio.com/Mancini Sports 1 to 1:30. Get you one. We'll see you, folks.